Leaving a narcissist is hard enough, but what happens when your own family turns against you, when they believe the narcissist over you, when they make you feel like the villain for walking away? Hi, I'm Kyle Hackley, attorney and author of Undercurrent, where we follow Annie's journey through narcissistic abuse and beyond. While Annie's story guides our conversations, remember that she's not just one person. Annie represents anyone who has lived through narcissistic abuse. So let's start talking about why families so often side with the narcissist. This is one of the most painful parts of leaving a narcissist, when instead of support, you're met with doubt, blame, and even rejection from the very people who are supposed to love you unconditionally. That's exactly what happened to Annie in Undercurrent. Coming from a large family that didn't believe in divorce, Annie was pressured to stay, even when leaving was the best thing for her and her daughter. And when she made the decision, the brave decision to go, she lost more than just her marriage. She lost her family too. But why does this happen? One reason is because the narcissist's public image is stronger than the truth. Narcissists are masters of manipulation. We know this. So to the outside world, they appear charming, hardworking, and even likable. And that's the version of them the family sees, the polished, convincing act. What they don't see is the reality behind closed doors. But it's not just about how the narcissist presents themselves. It's also about deeply ingrained beliefs. In many families, culture and religious expectations play a powerful role in shaping how they respond to someone leaving their marriage. In Annie's case, divorce just wasn't discouraged. It was so frowned upon. Many families see the family unit as something to be preserved at all cost, even when it comes at the expense of the individual's well-being. The message is clear: make it work no matter the cost. In some cases, probably many cases, instead of questioning the narcissist, the family questions the one trying to break free. Rather than asking themselves or asking them, what did your spouse do? They'll ask you, are you overreacting? In Annie's case, the family sees a provider, a hardworking young man who seems committed to the family. So the blame shifts. Annie was told, if you love your daughter, you will stay with your husband. Try harder. Marriage takes work. You're being selfish. And in that moment, the message is clear. You are the problem, not your partner. The responsibility for fixing things, for holding it all together, falls squarely on your shoulders, while the narcissist walks away unquestioned. There's still another reason why it can happen. While you're struggling just to survive the fallout, the narcissist is already rewriting the story. They paint themselves as a victim before you even get a chance to tell your side. They play the devastated spouse card, turning themselves into the wounded party while they make you look like the villain. And the worst part, works. Your family only hears your spouse's version of events, the carefully crafted emotional story designed to turn them against you. And that's not by accident, it's by design. Whatever reason your family turns against you, the impact is the same. It's devastating. The people who were supposed to stand by you, instead, they leave you feeling isolated, misunderstood, and completely alone. Being alienated from your own family cuts so deep. For Annie, this betrayal ran extraordinarily deep. She wasn't just losing her husband, she was losing her family. She was cut off, isolated, and treated like an outcast. But there was another layer to Annie's situation, one that made the alienation even worse. Annie just didn't leave. She immediately started rebuilding her life. She found a small apartment, enrolled in the university, and she began laying the foundation for a new life. But instead of seeing her resilience, her courage, her family saw something else. They saw her as being selfish because from their perspective, Annie was moving forward. And in their eyes, that meant she must be doing this to benefit herself. Instead of asking her, why were you doing all of this? Instead of trying to understand her reality, they just assumed. They believed him. But the truth was, Annie wasn't rebuilding for herself. She was rebuilding for her daughter. She knew deep down that no one was coming to save her. She had to do this alone. And yet, rather than receiving support or even a conversation, she was met with judgment. The narrative had already been written, and she was never given a chance to tell her side. And for so many survivors, this is the moment they feel most alone. They start doubting themselves. You wonder if you're being selfish. You begin to wonder what is true. But here's the truth. Their reaction doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. It means they don't understand the reality of what you were living through. Now, you're left to cope with your family taking your spouse's side. How do you do that? How do you cope under those circumstances? Just accept that some people aren't going to understand, and that's not your fault. Not everyone's going to believe you, and that's painful, but your healing can't depend on their validation of you. You know the truth, and that has to be enough. I know it can be frightening, and I know it isn't easy, but try to find support elsewhere, whether it's a therapist who understands narcissistic abuse, a survivor community, people who are going to see you for you. Now, you're going to lose certain relationships, but you're going to build new ones with people who respect your truth. And please let go of the need to defend yourself. A narcissist is going to twist the story, and somehow people will choose to believe it. Fighting for them to see the truth is going to drain you. So protect your peace. You don't owe explanation to those who aren't going to listen to you. And hold on to the reality that you made a good decision. Just because your family doesn't understand what you did doesn't mean that you're wrong. Your safety, your mental health, and your freedom matter more than keeping other people comfortable. One of the hardest parts of leaving a narcissist is losing the people you thought would stand by you. But please hear this. You are not alone. If your family turned against you, that does not mean that you're wrong. It means that they just couldn't see the truth. You do. And your peace is worth more than their approval. Annie lost her family, but she gained something greater, her freedom. And so will you. And if this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments or reach out on my email, because that's why AreYouAnnie exists. When you share your story, you're not just speaking for yourself, you're lighting the way for someone else. AreYouAnnie is here for anyone who needs validation and support. It's about walking through fire to reach the other side of narcissistic abuse. It's about reclaiming the pieces of who you are and stepping back into your power. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe or hit the like on this episode. I really believe that when you do that, it's going to help others find us. Now, I may not personally know you, but I know your story because I know Annie's story. The details are always different, but the patterns are the same. And if you see yourself in Annie's journey, just know you are not alone. And as always, I want you to know that you're not just a survivor. You are a warrior against narcissistic abuse. You are stronger than you know. And I want you to be tenacious and never give up on what is important to you. Thank you so much for listening. And until next time.